Deadly poison is killing hundreds of Wisconsin residents every year.
Yeah, it may sound hard to believe, but it's true. And Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson shows you how a so-called miracle drug could have saved them.
Brad and Aaron, that poison is heroin, and it's filling up morgues all over Wisconsin. But drug enforcement experts say the death toll would be far higher if not for another drug that can put the brakes on an overdose. A drug so effective, many heroin addicts now carry it with them when they get high.
You okay, baby?
5 years ago, Steve Kamenicki overdosed on heroin.
Honey! Honey! No, this is okay. This is for real.
Lucky for Steve, his friends had the antidote.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there he is. He's back from the dead.
You just died. We had hit you with Narcan.
Heroin users called it a save, and when a documentary film crew captured this one in 2008,
You awake, buddy? You all right?
We just hit you with Narcan.
they turned it into a training video for Narcan.
It's simply an opiate antagonist. It locks the opiate in the brain, or if the opiate's already in the brain, it kicks it out for a period of time.
Narcan is the brand name for naloxone, a drug specifically designed to reverse the effects of an opiate overdose. It can literally revive a dying man
Oh, good morning.
in a matter of seconds.
Narcan is in a way a miracle drug.
The quick-acting nature of the drug is remarkable.
First developed in the 1960s, Narcan has been a staple in every paramedic's arsenal for years. But lately, rescue workers across the state are using it more than ever before. According to the Wisconsin EMS Association, EMTs and paramedics have used Narcan nearly 10,000 times the past 3 years, including more than 1,700 deployments in Milwaukee County alone last year, a 33% increase since 2010.
It seems like we're going to more and more calls for overdoses.
Drug enforcement experts say it's evidence of a widening heroin epidemic.
Our overdose deaths would be through the roof if it wasn't for Narcan. It's truly saving hundreds and hundreds of lives in the state of Wisconsin.
And that's why there's a movement to get it directly into the hands of IV drug users.
We just got another shipment of naloxone to hold us over for a couple months.
Scott Stokes is director of prevention for the AIDS Resource Center of Wisconsin, which runs a needle exchange program. ARCW supplies clean needles to heroin addicts to prevent the spread of disease. But after an especially deadly batch of heroin swept the country in 2005, they started handing out naloxone, too.
And it made perfect sense that needle exchanges had access to the high-risk population.
And then just pull it back until you get just about all of it into the syringe.
ARCW trains heroin users how to save other users by injecting them with naloxone.
So it's good to go into a muscle, you know, like the arm or the thigh. It can go right through the clothing.
After the training, the user gets a prescription and vials to take home.
Any questions? No.
This young woman is a heroin addict. We'll call her Jenny. She witnessed a near-fatal overdose just a few months ago.
So I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do, and she wasn't like doing anything except making this really weird noise, and then she stopped, and so then I was really scared. She's turning like pale, like looks like she's like a corpse, and so I was freaking out. So I called my friend, and I was like, do you know anybody with naloxone?
The experience left an impression.
And I got trained, yeah, because like I needed it on me, and I carry it on me at all times, no matter what. You never know, and you know, saving a life, it's awesome to be able to do that.
Last year, the ARCW says it trained 480 people in the Milwaukee area, and users reported back 459 saves. While that may sound good, Wisconsin Attorney General J.B. Van Hollen is concerned.
Are you encouraging the heroin abuse if you make it available to the general public, or are you encouraging the saving of lives?
Van Hollen supports the safe use of naloxone, but has not yet decided if it's good public policy to give it directly to addicts as a fail-safe.
Unfortunately, it provides somewhat of a safety cushion for heroin abusers who think that, you know, they can push the level of that intoxication from heroin just a little bit further.
There's a lot of people that really look at this as enabling, and some people feel that, you know, it's a consequence of drug use, you know, and I can live with that if the consequence is losing your driver's license for driving while you're intoxicated. But when the consequence is death and we have something that is relatively cheap and it's not a substance that you can abuse in itself, we need to provide that and give this person their life so they could possibly recover.
The movement to get naloxone into the hands of addicts doesn't stop with needle exchanges.
The subcommittee will come to order.
Earlier this month, the FDA testified before Congress about making naloxone available over the counter.
Maybe this is something that needs to be looked at, because anyone who has ever seen the dramatic reversal of an amp of Narcan on an opiate overdose will understand that you go from crisis to normal in the space of 26 seconds.
I've only administered it like 3 times, but I've seen it administered at least 20 times before. So that's 20 lives right there that were saved.
For now, people like Jenny will have to get naloxone at a needle exchange to keep their addiction.
You awake, buddy? You all right?
We just hit you with Narcan.
From becoming a death sentence.
Watching that in front of you is the scariest thing. It really is. I wish that would be a huge motivation for me to stop, but unfortunately, heroin's a really powerful drug.
The AIDS Resource Center claims its naloxone distribution program has saved more than 2,000 lives in Wisconsin since 2005, and yet the director of prevention for ARCW says he's not even sure what they're doing is legal. That's because they are prescribing naloxone to one drug user who then likely uses it on someone else because, of course, you can't save yourself from an overdose. For that reason, the State Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse is now asking state lawmakers to clarify that a person acting in good faith can legally administer naloxone to another person suffering an overdose. Brad and Ann.
But I guess that begs the question, if you do it now, could you actually be charged with a crime for doing that?
That's a great question, and it's really not clear what the answer is. It hasn't happened yet, but ARCW wants to clear up the legal confusion to ensure that it never does. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Attorney General told me they've not yet done enough analysis to determine if that's appropriate. If legislation is proposed, the AG may have more to say.
Interesting stuff. Thank you, Brian.
All right.